Test, test, test. Okay, I think we're good now. Let me turn this up a little bit. All right. Hello? Okay. Hey, Matthew, what's good? Let's see. I'm West Coast, so it's actually 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to Sit Down and Shut Up. Hope you all doing well tonight. A little earlier than usual. So so for my pals like Matthew on the opposite side of the globe, they can check me out at, I guess, 4:30 in the morning for them local. Yeah, no sun anymore. Since it's wintertime here, it sets at and since we've gone back to normal time, it sets at like 6 now. like 5:30, it's already coming down. So anyway, welcome in, guys. Let me get who we have today. So today we have Ambush. So let's bring him on. Hey, Ambush, can you hear me?
Hello, I can hear you.
Awesome. How's it going?
It's going great. How
Cool.
about you?
Doing all right. Hopefully it's not too late for you. I know it's a little bit late, but we're pushing it
Yeah.
up 30 minutes for you. So anyway, welcome on. So tell me a little bit about what you've been going through. So you said in your thing you're Diamond 1, and you're looking for help with pressure and defense. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I hit Diamond 2
Okay.
yesterday, I think. I don't
Okay.
know. And I feel like a big issue is that I don't really know like what to pressure my opponent with. Like I'm just using Ryu's tools. He has a lot of tools,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just like throwing things out. I don't know if I should be doing standing heavy punch like all the time and like crouching medium kick. I
Okay.
I don't really know how to do Ryu's pressure.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Cool. So with that, let me get into the game here, and let me invite you to a custom room here. One sec.
Also, I need to improve my defense.
Okay.
I've noticed that like a lot of the times these players are like parrying. I almost never click the parry button other than to parry drive rush.
Okay.
So like I don't even parry to block supers.
Okay. And that's okay. We can take a look at what situations might make sense to use parry versus like other stuff, because it doesn't always, like, using parry makes sense in a lot of situations, but sometimes it doesn't, right? Sometimes in defensive situations, going for a parry is sort of like a hard read almost, right? So on wake up, if you wake up parry, it means that you are telling your opponent, basically you're saying that my opponent is going to strike, right? Immediate strike here. But if they go for a throw, if they go for like a shimmy, or they do something else, then parry will lose that, right? So that's one of those situations where you kind of have to get a sense of like what they're doing on offense, and even in sort of like the mid screen as well, right? So like neutral game, going for a parry typically means that you're expecting your opponent to continue their pressure or do something that is parryable, right? So, cool. So if you're not familiar with how this works, basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna run a first to three. I'll kind of get a sense of like what you might be struggling with, like the things that you talked about just now. Are they what you're really running into? Kind of get a sense of where you're at, right? After that, we'll do a little replay review. So we'll hop into the replay review room and take a look at one of the games that we played in the first of three. And then after that, we'll take a look at one of the replays you sent me. So you sent me a couple of replays. We'll take a look at one of those on stream. The reason I like to do that is because typically the way that games are going in your ranked grind is a little bit different than what might be happening when we play, right? So I just wanted to see what, to show that there might be a difference in what's happening. After that, if there is a situation or set of situations that maybe we need to dive into, we can do a little lab work. We'll hop into the lab, we'll look at the practice room, take a look at these situations in depth. And then afterwards, if there's time and you're up for it, we can run it back, run another first of three, and see how it goes. Does that sound all reasonable to you?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Go ahead and queue up any slot you like, and I'll join you in a sec. So what I mentioned here is that I'll be deafened during this part of the stream, mostly because I don't want to impact anything you're doing, and I'm going to talk a lot while while we're doing this. I also may not rematch right away, so you'll see the timer run down to like 1 or 2 seconds. Don't worry, I'm still here. Again, it's just because I'll be articulating what I'm seeing on stream. So if you decide to go back and look at this VOD later, which you'll have access to, you can see what I was thinking while we were in game, right? So, cool, man.
Yeah.
With that, good luck.
Thank you.
Oh, I had the wrong character. Jap, dude, what's good? Thank you for the sub 11 months, dude. That's how long I've been streaming for, bro. Damn, almost a year. That's crazy. So the Japanese doesn't sleep. I think what he does is he sets his stream up and then just goes to bed, dude. Alright, I haven't played Ambush, but Splash, I think this is someone you recommended for this, so let's see what they do, or how they do. Okay, let's see how the defense is. Elects to not reversal here. Good tech. Uh-oh. Alright, so that, like, sequence there, I don't think that's particularly real. A lot of Ryus actually go for that OD Denjin, or basically charge Denjin, and then just take the plus frames, and just, like, try to sneak a parry or something. Or a throw. Oh, that's nice. They don't press a lot, which is nice. Let's see the anti-airs. Oh. Okay, they're ready that time. Drive rush overhead. Uh-oh. I would if I, oh, you mean him, huh? Alright, whiff the medium button there. Still teching. Oh, the tech again. Super. Oh. Okay, so far what I'm seeing is that there's a little bit of hesitancy in neutral, which is pretty common, I think. When you, like the first time you play somebody, you're not quite sure how they play, right? You're kind of trying to get a sense of what they do, so a little bit of hesitancy there. I think the main issue isn't so much the pressure sequencing. I think it has more to do with neutral, right? At least the way that we're playing here. Oops. Right, so... Oh, nice. So I think a lot of what's happening for them... Oh, good DP. Ooh. Sure you can. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I think they're using the heavy fireball there. I don't think that's... Oh. Oh, that was nice. So, that heavy fireball sequence there, I don't think that's, like, safe. Or at that range, maybe? I don't know. Have to look. That was nice. Uh-oh. Bit of a misinput there, no big deal. Oh, hard read on the fireball? Oh, I just stopped blocking. Let me see the defense here. Sec. Let's confirm. This would be like a smasher. So in that situation there, the reason why that worked for me is because that stand medium punch is actually minus, right? So what a lot of diamond level players and sort of this level players will do is they kind of almost, I want to say like over respect buttons, you know what I mean? So it's like even though I'm minus or I'm plus there, like a lot of players won't press. They'll just stay there, right? Meaning, they expect their opponent to not do anything, right? So they can steal the turn. So against players that, like me, that tend to press a lot, what ends up happening is diamond level players like this that are expecting the opponent to continue blocking get hit because they're going for these kind of fake strings, right? So... I mean, so far, anti-airs have been okay. Oh, right as I said, huh? Oh, that's good. Good combo. See, that's real, right? So if I match there, that's a problem. Oh, nice. A little too much teching, I think. Oh, still teching. Oh. Nice throw. Notice he does use mini donkey kick. I'm sure you mean doesn't use donkey kick at all, you mean? It doesn't use donkey kick. Oh no. Don't tech. Okay, defense-wise, we could talk about that, like what's happening and why that tech is continuing to happen. I think it's pretty common again at this level to. Yeah, it's actually good. Has yet to reversal me, right? Alright, we'll just keep applying media pressure then. Oh, there it is. Oh, that was not what I meant to do at all, but okay. Oh. Pretty good. The games seem to panic a bit when defending under pressure. Yeah, I think they're defaulting to a delay tech, which is unfortunate. They might actually win this. I'm burned out here. Good DP. Oh, no. That's unfortunate. Sucks. I mean, I got away with one there, honestly. I think they had that one, had they actually DP'd me there, or had I not landed that hit there, so. Let's bring him on. Let's see what they thought. Hey, Ambush, what'd you think?
I think I dropped a few combos. I don't know what else.
Yeah, there was
And
a
then
couple. Yeah.
at the end, you were like shimmying me, but I was just so used to delay teching, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough, to be honest. And the reason I say that is because delayed tech covers a lot of very common options at the level you're playing at, right? So like, you know, getting the D1, D2 early diamond, a lot of folks will kind of autopilot their offense because they want to land like the meaty strike or meaty throw, right? So delay tech is really strong there because it blocks, you know, 2 or 3 of the options, but it does lose to shimmy, right? And you saw me kind of go for those shimmies a little bit more in those plus situations, and it forces you to tech, and then you kind of get blown up for it, right? So that said, I'm streaming in Discord, so you can take a look at that. I'm gonna hop into the replay review. Let's take a look at one of these guys, and I think we'll take an idea what. So, what you were talking about earlier, where you weren't quite sure how Ryu structures pressure or how what was it? What'd you put there? Like general offense things, right? So, being able to apply pressure on your opponent when you score a knockdown or even in neutral, right? How does that happen? As well as on defense, like we'll talk about that too. But anyway, let's take a look at one of these replays, and I think the things that I'll try to point out a couple of things that I was noticing that might help your game. So let me just get into this right here. I think this one's a good one to watch. Yeah, let's take a look at this one. All right, so this was game 2. I had noted in the first game that you were a little bit hesitant to press, and a lot of times that's normal, right? So I don't think we played each other before, so we do have to try to get a sense of how the other likes to play, what they like to do, and all that stuff. So not pressing a ton is usually a good idea here. So this is game 2, and we'll see how it goes. I'll let this play out until something interesting happens. So here, I think what happened was you pressed something after a hit, right? Right, so you get hit here. Because for Ken, this isn't a true string or a combo, like a real combo for him. This needs to be counter hit or better for this stand medium punch to link. But you can see what happens here is that after you get hit, Ken is +4, and then you elect to mash something here. In this case, you're your stand light punch here, right? And then you get hit for it, right? So generally speaking, you do want to, you try not to press anything when you're this minus, right? So -2 or more, you generally just want to try to hold that, meaning just block, right? Or potentially delay tech, but for now, we'll just say just block here. Most people, when they're plus like this, will continue their pressure, right? Meaning they'll continue their string or whatever it is to try to, continue pressing buttons on you because they're plus, right? So in the situation where you've just gotten hit like this, 9 times out of 10, I would say just continue blocking, right? You would have blocked this target combo here, and I wouldn't have gotten this counter hit combo, right? Now again, I don't cancel because I miss my run, right? Cancel here, but I wouldn't have gotten that hit had you just continued blocking, right? So I would have had to cancel into something else to try to keep it safe, spend some meter, potentially take a risk with like a Jinrai or something, right? I have to cancel that into something to stay safe, right? So generally speaking, when you get hit like that, like you want to try not to mash, basically, right? So
Okay.
so what happened there, right? How'd you get hit? So I think here it was pretty straightforward. I think I just walk up and press the button, right? And you might have just been maybe not blocking or about to press something. Let's see. Okay. So what happened here, right? Basically what it looks like happened was you were trying to walk up potentially to try to press a button or go for a throw or something, right? So I would say this is more unfortunate timing than anything else, but I do want to highlight the space between us, right? So I'm not going to talk too much about it just yet, but pay attention to when I throw this stand heavy punch, right? Like I would be kind of at close to the tip of the range, right? So, keep that in mind for later. I'll probably revisit that, but pay attention to like when I'm pressing buttons here if you can, right? So
Okay.
all right, so why did this work for me here, right? So interesting stuff, right? So let's take a look at this scenario here.
I think if I do stand light kick, it actually wins for me, but I think I always autopilot medium.
The medium punch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're +2 here, right? And like you said, you go for the stand medium punch, which is a 6-frame button for Ryu. I press my 4-frame button here, and it trades, right? So after I just spent like 5 minutes talking about not pressing when someone is plus, I go ahead and do this, right? Like I do exactly the opposite of what I just told you, to do, right? I said don't press when you're plus, and then you see me doing this, right? So why is this happening, or why am I doing this? So in a driver situation like this, or any sort of plus turn situation, sometimes people don't keep their strings tight. And what I mean by that is you leave enough of a gap for me to press my 4-frame button and get away with it, right? And that's what happened here, is that you were +2, and I had noticed you going for, I noticed, I think the last time you did this, you went for a crouching medium punch earlier, right? So that's why I challenge here, is I try to jab you out of this situation. So the trade happens here, right? I'm able to kind of effectively stop your pressure with a trade, because now we're both like, let's see who recovers first here. So now we're both kind of like, gets pushed back. You have an 8-frame advantage here, so you could have potentially pressed something. Let's see if anything would have reached.
Crouching medium doesn't reach. I
Yeah, so
think I
you're eight.
lapped that up.
Yeah, from this distance it would be kind of tough, right? I don't think you have an 8-framer that would reach, or any button really that at that distance, right, from here. So the trade works in my favor technically, right? And the reason for that is because you had to spend resources to do that, and I effectively stopped the pressure for a little bit of life, right? I trade a little bit of life for this bar of yours, right? And the pressure stops, and we're back to neutral, right? So, and like I said, 9 times out of 10, you don't want to press when you're minus, right? Like especially if you're -2. In this case, I was -4, right? Or -2 or better, right? But in this situation, I had realized that you were kind of being a little bit quote unquote greedy with the button, right? Meaning you're leaving a little bit more of a gap. And I picked this game too because I'll show you another example of when that happens here, and I'll point it out when I see it. But like you were saying though, if you go for like a light kick, or you keep it tight, meaning I can't press a 4-frame, or if I do a counter hit, that would be the situation. So stand light kick would be good there, I think. Even a jab potentially, like jab light kick or something like that, a light string to push me back, or something like that would be okay. You could also go for a throw, right? So in that situation here, after this, right? could go for like a walk up, right? Right. So if you keep it tight like you were suggesting with the stand light kick, you'll counter hit me out of that, right? So you'll keep it tight, and I can't press into there anymore, right? Oh, I'm late there. Right, something like that you could do if you wanted to do a counter hit confirm combo off of that, like you know I'm gonna press, or you just press it and then you confirm visually. Alternatively, you could go for like a throw. Actually, I don't think you're plus enough for throw. Let's see. Oh, you are. Okay, so you go for throw here, right? So the throw will reach in that scenario there if I'm mashing. And you're plus enough where my button won't come out, right? So if you go for the throw there, it's 5 frame, right? So the throw hitbox will come out before my stand light punch hitbox comes out. That'll beat it too, right? So when you are playing against somebody that is continuing to mash against you like that, and you recognize that that's happening, that's when you would switch to keeping your pressure kind of tight, right? So you're asking about how do you generate pressure? And with Ryu, generally speaking, and Shoto's in general, but I think Ryu does this too, is that you want to keep your plus frames tight, right? So make sure that you can't be mashed on. Make sure that you go for throws and stuff like that to keep your opponent guessing when you get plus frames. So Ryu, as I understand it, doesn't have a ton of plus options, I think, other than like Solar Plexus. Let me just double check here. I think Solar Plexus is one option that is plus on block. And I think like stand heavy kick, I guess, but that doesn't really work too well in your advantage. What else is, yeah, Solar Plexus is probably your main plus on block button, unless you're using Drive Rush, right? So everything else is kind of minus. So what that really means is that, like, when you do get plus frames, you want to try to capitalize on that by forcing a mix of some kind, and that's how you generate pressure. So if you are plus in their face, you can threaten throw, you can threaten additional strikes, you can threaten shimmy, right? So these types of things occur for you, or can happen for you when you're plus, right? So all of that would happen had you not been going for that crouching medium punch. Now, again, if your opponent is just continuing to block, which I think a lot of people at this level would be doing, is that once they see the drive rush heavy punch, right, and they block the crouching medium, like they block that, they don't press anything, they're really not willing to because they know, quote unquote, that they're minus and they shouldn't be pressing. So you're able to get away with that crouching medium punch, right? But if someone is either like me and wants to challenge that, or they just bash anyway, right? Maybe they don't know any better, or maybe they think it'll work and they just press it. You'll get a trade there, right? And it stops your pressure. Again, I think by most of the time, when you are in that situation, a plus situation, you do want to try to keep that tight, right? So press additional buttons that are faster than my 4 frame could possibly come out. So in a +2 situation, that means you should be pressing buttons that are 5 frames or faster, right, to ensure that my jab can't beat you. And start with that. Then if you notice your opponent continuing to block that, then you can go for things like throw to see if they're delay teching, try to open them up that way, and then other offensive options from there, right? But I think as a start, when you don't really know how your opponent is going for things, or if you want to make sure that you can't get mashed on and force those plus frames, that would be a way to do it, is by doing that. So
yeah.
okay. So we jab here, trade happens. I don't think there's a button you can really press that will reach, so we move on, right? Okay, so good instant tech here, right? I tried to back up, and I think you teched right away, which caught me blocking back, right? So it's good. I mentioned, and we noticed on streams, your answers are pretty good generally. I think that as the set went on, though, as I was kind of applying more and more pressure, it got harder and harder to anti-air, right? So
Yeah.
but at this point, though, I hadn't been jumping a ton, and when I started jumping, you responded to that, so that's good. All right.
Oh, I missed the DP.
Yeah, unfortunate miss on the DP here and a back throw here, so no DP there. That's okay. All right, that's fine. But you went for a tech here, and that was unfortunate, right? That it back threw me. No, it's fine, actually. I mean, I'm out of the corner for free. I took a throw for it. And again, this is not the worst thing in the world, right? You didn't get hit or anything like that. But it was unfortunate you got a back throw here. So, not a big deal. Oh, I missed my DP. Get thrown for the trouble. Right, so I do that again, right? I challenge you again here. And again, this is because I noticed that you had been leaving these gaps in your strings, right? So if we look again, And part of this too, actually, was that you were kind of late on your button. So if you look at the frame meter
Yeah.
here, so you press that, that's plus, right? So right here, you're +2. You're a little bit late, but I mashed, right? Or +4 in this situation because it's crouching medium punch, excuse me. You didn't use heavy punch, you did crouching medium punch. +4 here, right? So this is actually a pretty bad idea on my part, right, to do this. But what happens here, though, is you're a little bit late here, and I had assumed that you would do something that I could mash out of, right? Because it had worked for me before, right? You were plus, and you press the button that left a big enough gap. So normally, the 6-framer would have traded, right? So let's say that you press this on time. Actually, it beats me clean. I take it back. Right? So had you been timely in that press, it would have beat me clean, right? I would have gotten countered there. So I guess the lesson there would be to make sure that you are timely in those presses, unless you're intentionally introducing delay, right? So
that was an accident.
Yeah. So I mean, you can hold the button or at least on a drive rush, but in this case, yeah, you just have to keep it, make sure that you are on time there, because that my mash gets beat there clean, right? And I'm dead from there, right? So. Right, something like that, or fireball, or whatever it would be, right? Level 1, I think. Something like that. Whatever the ending combo would be there. Maybe even a drive rush, right?
It would just be stand medium, crouching medium, and then DP. That should kill.
Right, and then DP, right? So, anyway,
yeah,
like you beat me clean there, right? So I would have gotten punished for attempting to mash on your plus frames again had that been clean, right? Instead, you end up with a trade. So, anyway.
yeah.
Right, so here, this was a little bit tough, right? So if you look at your meter, you're at 2.5 bars. Right, 2 bars here. Continuing to, so what you're doing here is actually fine, right? So you're using your buttons to try to keep me locked in the corner and try to open me up that way. Maybe I whiff something, maybe I make a mistake and get too close, maybe I'm not blocking, right? So what you're doing here is totally fine. But this right here, now again, like in the context of this particular match, I think it's actually not the worst thing in the world overall. I'm at this level. Like you have a ton of health here. You're kind of forcing me to a mix-up where it'd be kind of almost guess for game here. If I make a mistake here, I'm dead, right? A throw would not necessarily kill me, but you can put me in a situation where I do have to guess. There's one combo from you here. If I make a mistake in this situation, I'm dead, right? But the burnout here forces you in a situation where now, if I'm able to reverse this on you, I can get out of the corner. And now you're in the corner, right?
Yeah.
Back throw here. So that was good. That was good early instant tech here. So let's see what happened, right? So again, like burning out in that situation and then going into ending in a block string that was in this case too close with the heavy fireball there, that left you -7, right? So for Ken's crouching medium kick, that's a 7-frame move, so it tags you. So I'm able to put you in the corner now. So here it's actually kind of dangerous, right? So even though I'm only one mix-up away from dying here, you're now in the corner with burned out, right? So you have to kind of commit to super here if you want to do reversal, right? So
yeah,
I go for an overhead here that kind of tags you. You get shimmied, right? So had I cashed out here, you would have been dead, right? So had I cashed out to level 2 or level 1 even, you probably would have been dead. I didn't, but I should have, but I didn't, right? So like this should have killed you. Right, so good back throw here. So it looks like you just instant teched, right? So let's take a look.
Yeah, I really wanted to get out of the corner.
Yeah. So if you look here, let's see. Yeah, so it's a delay tech, right? So you go for a delay tech here, which you know can be okay. It worked out because I wasn't doing anything here. I was kind of I don't know why it didn't. I guess I was too close. I was trying to back up. Like you see me trying to back up here. It doesn't quite work out for me, so I get thrown. But if you look at this scenario here now, this is really tough because I have some meter to work with, you have none. Yeah, we're both basically one hit away from dying, right? So if I had just decided to level 2 you here, that I don't think it'll chip enough to be a chip, but you know I could try to go for something like that too, right? So I was gonna go for DI here. and then you react with level 1 here. So this is really good. So reacting to this right here, level 1, perfect, right? That's good stuff. So if I were to take anything away from that game, right, I think that the main thing ends up being that you want to enforce your plus frames, right? So like if I wanted to give you something to take away from that, like the first interaction, you didn't quite enforce it and you got hit for it. The second interaction, you went for the right button, but it wasn't on time. So you weren't able to enforce it there either. And both those instances got beat by mashing, right? So, or maybe not beat, but they ended up trading, which is just as good in the situation I was in, right? Where I want to stop your pressure.
Yeah.
So in the future, right, if you're trying to structure your pressure, if you will, when you go into the training room and you take a look at what's happening, right, turn on the frame meter, right, try your common strings, right, so crouch, medium kick, drive, rush, and stand, heavy punch, or whatever plus frame situation you want to generate, and then see what buttons you can press that will continue your pressure, right? Set the training dummy to do a wake up jab or a jab on block, rather. So when they block something, they will jab immediately, or maybe after 2, depending on how you want to structure it, your practice. And then try things, right? See what buttons you can press, what spacings make sense for you to try to either frame trap them or keep your enforce your plus frames, right? Being able to stop people from mashing is pretty fundamental to getting out of diamond, I think. So a lot of players will mash in diamond, right? Especially at these ranks here. They're going to press all the time, right? They're plus, they're minus, they're from all the way across the screen, doesn't matter. They will press buttons. And one of the key things to getting out of this kind of rank is to really make sure that you're able to enforce your plus frames. So stop them from mashing. Because if they continue to mash, one of two things will happen, right? So either they'll die, right? Because they'll keep getting hit, run out of health eventually and die, right? Or they have to do something else, right? And once they start doing something else, which is not mashing because they keep getting hit, that's when you can go for those kind of bigger gaps, right? So your crouch medium punch off of the drive rush 10 heavy punch, right? Leaving gaps in certain places or being greedy with your button, right? Going for a bigger button with plus frames, right? So anyway,
Yeah.
let's take a look at the next round here. So what I will say is that your sense of like neutral here, like your sense of space, is actually pretty good, right? So you're not standing like where you're gonna get hit by me. And in fact, you hit me, you actually counter hit me here, right? So I press a couple buttons of whiff, and then you catch my stand heavy kick, right? So why did this work? This is actually kind of interesting. So let's take a look here. All right, so here was the last interaction, right? So I press the crouching medium punch, I whiff it. Right, I'm recovered now. So now this is technically both neutral. So if you look at the space here, right? And if I were to ask you, do you think Ken's stand heavy kick would hit you from here? What would you say? You think yes? Think no? Like what would happen if I were to press stand heavy kick right here?
Stand heavy kick?
Yeah, if a Ken were to press stand heavy kick right here, Ken's longest reaching button basically. If he was to press it right here, do you think he would reach you?
I mean, if it's as long as reaches, then yeah.
Yeah, probably, right? Like if you look at the space, right? So it reaches, right? So what does that mean, right? Why am I bringing that up? So let's take a look at the next thing that happens here. Right. So why did this work now? So if we look at the space when I press my button, right here, right? So when I press this button, I'm committing to a stand heavy kick, right? So that's like a huge long range button for Ken. It takes forever to start up. It's huge recovery, all that stuff, right? But I was expecting you to continue moving back. So if you had decided to move back a little bit, this stand heavy kick would reach at the tip. It'd be very hard for you to punish it, right? Instead, what you do is you walk forward and press your crouching medium kick, right? So this effectively counter hits me, right? So you basically stuff what I'm trying to do here with a faster button, and you get a combo from it, right? So again, like the reason that worked is because I was trying to hit you with the tip of my button, right? The end range of my button, basically. And instead of you doing what I thought you were going to do, which is move back, you moved forward and pressed your crouch medium instead, right? So this is kind of an important like concept in neutral, where like the space between the characters matter and should dictate what you can and can't do. So if I make a decision based on what I think you're going to do and you do something else, I'm probably going to get hit for it, right? And that's something that I think a lot of people don't necessarily think about in neutral, because you're just like, oh, I just want to hit that guy, right? I want to walk up and hit them. I want to drive right, I should do stuff. But you can manipulate space and control the game that way, right? And I did that to you for most of the game, if you look, right? Most of the set. But like what you did there was actually pretty high level stuff, right? Whether you realize it or not, is that if you thought I was going for a big move there, you can walk forward and stuff it with a faster move and get a reward for it, is what I'm trying to get at. So like that, I mean, it's really difficult to do. Don't get me wrong. It's not something that I expect like someone to just pick up right away. But it's something I think you might want to start thinking about as you climb through these ranks, where it's like, oh, these people are really like, especially these ranks, a lot of people will press buttons, like I was saying, all the time. So if you get a sense of when your opponent wants to press, you can do stuff like this to them, and it'll always work, right? Because they're always pressing, they may whiff, right? They're not standing at spaces that make sense, and then you just press your button and it beats them, right? So anyway, but I wanted to highlight this because this is a really good job, right? This is really well done from you here. So walk forward, challenge my button, right? And get that, right? So whether you realized it or not, you did something that is kind of almost is pretty high level, right? That's something you have to be able to. It takes a long time, a lot of matches to get a sense of that. So it was really good.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, drop right after, right? So
I meant it.
yeah.
You can see I inputted the back heavy. It didn't line up.
Didn't come out, right? So you can see this, and then it just gave you the neutral for some reason, right? So anyway, mechanical issues like this, like I don't spend too much time on it. You know what you did wrong, you just have to grind it out. Not a big deal, right? So it happens, right? It happens to everybody. Drop, and then I get a full punish from this, right? All right, so you tech again, right? So teching there is probably fine, right? +5 situation, a lot of Kens do go for throw there, or some sort of meaty strike option, so that's totally fine. But you just have to be careful about selecting it every time, right? So I went for a throw there. You're able to break the throw. That's okay, right? So this is okay as the situation goes, right? That was pretty good. I wasn't sure if that's what you were going for there. I think it was supposed to be a crouching medium kick, but you got me. Right? But it worked out. Now you can see it, right?
Yeah.
For the driver's cut. Now would that have worked? Let's see. Okay, so interestingly, had that actually worked out the way you expected it to? Oh, I think you're already inputting it. Oh, it's already. Must have already been inputted. Let me try this. Hold on. Oh, okay. I see what happened. So you had the inputs already here. So let's just do this. Right. So if I'm gonna try to press it when I think you were looking to press it, so let's try. Right. So, yeah, I think it's just funny because what that means though is that what I thought you were gonna do, which was the crouching medium kick or a button, would have gotten whiff punished by the stand heavy kick in that scenario, right? But instead, a Tatsu accidentally came out, and it actually beats my stand heavy kick because it comes out and it beats my hitbox, right? So what actually happens here is this, right? Right, the Tatsu comes out when I thought you were gonna press a crouching medium kick, and then you hit me, right? But what I want to highlight here though is what I was trying to get you to do in the corner, right? So again, your intention was to press the crouching medium kick drive rush, right? Try to get out of the corner. So if we look at the situation here, right, after this stand medium kick is blocked, or stand light kick is blocked, right? You get spaced. I get spaced out here, right? So I press the button. Sorry, let's go back to this. Press the button here. Here's neutral, right? So remember, Ken's lights are minus on block, right? So I'm minus here. I can't press another button. But if you look at the space here, right, a crouching medium kick might reach. Now it won't, right? So I back up a little bit here, and now the crouching medium kick probably won't reach, right? So what I'm doing here, and obviously I'm not reacting to this, right? This is too fast for me to react to. But what I'm trying to get you to do is press your crouching medium kick, right? So I'm standing at a range where it seems so good that it's going to hit me. I back out, and then I'm moving forward here because by the time your crouching medium kick would have come out, right, the hitbox is already retracting, and I can press my button here, right? So what I'm trying to get you to do here is whiff your button, right? And that's part of like the defense portion that I kind of want to bring up here is that the defense part is not just sorry, one sec. The defense part here is not just like on Oki, right? It's not just Oki situations. It's situations like this where you're in the corner, right? Like you're stuck in the corner, you're standing up, but you still have to defend against someone pressing steps in the corner, right? So what that means for you though is that you have to be careful about when and how you press buttons to try to get out of the corner, right? It's very difficult. Don't get me wrong. This is like one of the hardest things to deal with in Street Fighter 6. Is not just the like Oki is one thing where you're just kind of trying to guess what's going to happen next, but the hardest part here is trying to play neutral in a situation where one of your main tools to play neutral, which is walking back, has been taken away from you, right? So what I do to you here is I try to induce you to press a button, right? And that actually is what happened, but the Tatsu came out and it worked out, right? But like in your mind, you wanted to press that button in that situation, and this would have punished that, right? So I guess what I'm trying to get at is that when you're in the corner here and you're trying to defend against what's happening here, you kind of have to recognize as best you can what your opponent might be doing here, right? Now, what I'm doing to you here at like, the master level or whatever, it's less likely that you're going to run into this in diamond, right? More likely what's going to happen is this person's going to drive rush you, continue pressing buttons on you, go for meaty strikes, meaty throws, all that stuff, right? So there's more of a rock, paper, scissors aspect to that, right? But in this scenario here, I'm trying to get you to press, and I do induce the whiff, or induce you to have whiffed, had this not come out, then you would have gotten punished for it, right? So all this is to say is that in this situation, you just have to be careful about when you press, right? So try to get a sense of what your opponent is doing in the corner before you try to get out of it, right? So I think part of this was you were kind of panicking a little bit. Maybe it's like, oh man, I don't want to be in the corner. I want to get out right away, all that stuff. And you try to go for the driver combo, right? Which would have gotten you out of the corner, right? Go into stand heavy punch, back heavy punch, heavy tatsu, or whatever the combo is, and you side switch, and now you're in position to take the corner, right? So if your opponent is recognizing that's what you want to do, they'll do what I'm doing, which is to pull back, right? Because you're going for delay tech a lot, right? So I can't really open you up by throwing you or meaty strikes because you're going to block it or tech, right? So what I do instead is I try to back away so that either you'll whiff, right, your throw tech, like I can shimmy you, or if you decide to continue blocking, then I'll be able to reset back to neutral, get my space back, and I can continue pressuring you this way, right? So like when people think about offense, pressure, and defense, it's not just the Oki situations, right? It's this situation right here. I'm applying a lot of pressure on you simply by standing in a spacing where it's uncomfortable for you to try to press buttons, right? So again, in diamond, it's unlikely that this is going to be what you're going to be running into. It's going to more likely be, again, a lot of meaty strikes, meaty throws, but as you go up in rank, as you're able to defend those things more and more, this is what's going to start happening, is you'll see these situations more. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
That was pretty funny though. I was like, oh, okay, got me through it. It worked out. So I guess if they're doing that, just go for Tatsu. Why not, right? But no, realistically speaking, yeah, that would I would have punished the thing that you would try to go for, right? I was trying to do C to do. It doesn't quite work out that way, and you're able to land a hit. I will say that in Street Fighter 6, when this type of things happen, like it works out for you, take advantage. Drive rush, right? From this situation right here.
Yeah, I was just kind of confused.
Yeah. Right. So why not do that, right? Why not force some plus frames, drive rush in, go for throw maybe, right? So something like this maybe. Right? Maybe that's too far, but
I think only stand heavy.
right. The stand heavy is probably the button to press there. But that's what I mean. It's like when opportunity presents itself like that, go for something, right? Like try to press that advantage if you can. In situations where it makes sense. Now I know we were both kind of like, oh, what happened, and we just kind of reset to neutral, which is totally fine too. Don't get me wrong, but you had a chance to kind of extend that pressure a little bit, and maybe that would have been the right move, right? You had enough meter to do so, and all that stuff, right? So anyway, all right. So here, why did this happen, right? Let's take a look. Right, so again, this is not a true string for Gen here. But you weren't blocking. So let's see. You try to press, it doesn't come out, and you weren't blocking, basically, right? So I would say that if you are not going to be pressing any buttons, you probably should be blocking.
Okay.
Right, so here you don't delay tech, which is good, right? I went for like a jab, basically, and this would have been plus, right? If you look, this is a meaty jab. Oh, I don't get it. So I miss, okay, so let me take a step back here. So normally, this setup here is going to be +5, right? So I do 2 dashes here, right? And then if you imagine these frames here, if this was actually tight to the Tatsu ending, I would be +5 here, right? So when I do this jab, it'll actually be plus, right? So let me show you what that should look like. Hopefully we'll be able to see it with a frame meter, but let's see.
Yeah, that was tight. There's no back squares.
Yeah. So if I do it that way, I'll be +5, right? So what that means is that my jab will land meaty, and it'll actually leave me with some plus frames, right? So I should be +1, or even I'll be 0, maybe even +1. I forget exactly, but I'll be plus after that, right? So if that happens, that means that you can't really press anything after, right? Not necessarily, anyway, because you're minus technically. So if we look at that though, right? So this jab would have been plus, right? So it would have landed in like the third frame of the active frames here. So it takes away 2 of the minus frames here. So it'll be plus here. And then I can go for something like this, right? So I can go for a big button here because you're not getting pressed because you're plus, or sorry, because I'm plus or you're minus. Or I can go for like a throw or threaten something else. But what I actually do here is I go for a shimmy, right? Because you've been delay teching a lot. So I go for the jab here, back up, expecting you to shimmy, or to tech. You don't, and I just get to land this instead, right? So this is actually pretty well defended overall, if you think about it. Like, I press my button, I'm minus, my turn is over. The issue, though, is that you're closer to the corner, right? So that's what happens. And that's just after Ken run Tatsu, right? That's what happens after Ken run Tatsu, is he, puts you in the corner. So this was good here. I think I just wasn't blocking. What was I trying to do? I was trying to move back or something. And you caught me, so this is good. Good. Right, and now I think the mental stack is a little bit high for you, right? You're worried about all the stuff that's happening, so now jumping is working against you, right? So, right. So you're afraid you kind of went away from teching, which is fine, right? You change your defensive option, but now I'm starting to go for like these sort of strings, if you will, into throw pressure, right? So like I'll do a couple of light buttons that you can't really press against, and then I'll do a walk up throw, right? Miss my DP there. Good confirm. All right, here. Right.
If I did the frame kill properly, I should have been plus. I think.
Right here.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Maybe I'm wrong.
If you had gotten the frame kill correctly here, it would have hit one more frame, and you would have been +2 in that scenario, right? So if you look at like if we were to shift this whole section of the frame meter over one bar, if you will, it'll leave you +2, right? So in that scenario, it's still +2, and then the follow-up button you go for is another stand medium punch here, right? So this would have traded, right? If it come out one frame sooner. So if we mash the stand medium punch here, so I'm gonna just mash stand medium punch, right? Right. That's what would have happened there. Is that trades. So again, that's just me mashing against your stand medium punch because you had gone for buttons that would normally not be tight, right? So I didn't know. Well, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know that that was going to be plus for you, right? But if you think about the situation, even if it was, if I mash against that and the follow up button you chose was still that, it would trade anyway, right? So I think that again, we were talking about this earlier was enforcing your plus frames. That's something you'll need to look at. So if you take a +2 situation there, again, try to use a 5 frame or faster to enforce that, at least until I stop pressing. So if I continue to mash against you, then use the 5 frame to punish me for that, right? So stand light kick or crouch me to punch or crouch and light punch or whatever the button might be for that, right? Use a 5 framer to enforce it. But then once I stop pressing because you are doing that, then you can go for this type of stuff, right? Or you can go and leave a little bit larger of a gap, maybe go for a bigger button, that type of thing, right? But until that happens, you have to make sure that I can't beat you by mashing, right? So again, the reason I'm bringing this up a lot is because it is very common in Diamond for people to not uh, challenge you this way, right? Like I'm pretty sure you do that string, and 9 times out of 10, people just block it, right? They don't do anything. They just block. Maybe they parry, maybe delay tech, whatever. But they're definitely not trying to take the turn back in that situation, right?
Yeah.
So I'm bringing this up now because this is something you can try to take advantage of, right? So if your opponent is not doing that, right, or they continue to block, that's when you go for stuff like throws, shimmies, other things that try to open them up. But what I will say is that you want to make sure that you get to the point where they're no longer mashing, because as you climb up in rank, people will actually mash, but they're doing it selectively. Like I'm mashing against you here because I've noticed that you don't enforce that like fully, right? I can think I can get a trade or better in those scenarios, right? So, and in this case is because I didn't realize you were actually going to be plus, right? So if that was a normal stand like say medium punch, right, that's actually -1, I think now these days. So since that's minus, right? Now let me just make sure I'm not lying to you here. Yeah, so that stand medium punch normally on block is -1, right? So if you're to try to go for another 6-frame move after that, right, I can actually press up to a 6-frame move and beat you, right? Because you're trying to go for your own 6-frame move, you're -1, so that makes it a 7-frame move, and then I can do something else there, right? I like to mash, or I like to use light punch here because Ken gets a pretty big reward off a counter hit, crouching light punch. But that's what I'm trying to get at is that I know that I thought you were minus there. You obviously weren't, but I thought you were minus there, and I went for a button, assuming that you would leave a big enough gap for me to try to take advantage of me hesitating, right? So,
Yeah.
and that's what's happening here, right? Now, again, in your games right now at Diamond, I would have hazard a guess that most of the time people just block, right? They just wait for you to stop pressing buttons, and then they do something else, right? But
Yeah.
as you climb up, people will start doing this, right? They'll start mashing on you on purpose, right? They're not just autopiloting it. They're actually looking for a situation where it makes sense to press, and that's what's happening here, right? So until you enforce that on me to not press, I'm willing to press on your plus frames, right? So anyway, moving on from there, right? I see that reward from me here is gonna kill you, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like I wasn't sure that you were minus there, to be honest. Or sorry, that you were plus there. I thought you were actually -2. You missed it a little bit there, but even like I was saying, had you even gotten the frame kill you wanted there, got the plus frames that you wanted out of the stand medium punch, but went for another stand medium punch, my jab would have traded with you, and then we go back to neutral, and maybe the game ends differently, but your pressure effectively ends either way, right? So
Yeah.
right, so here, right, same kind of thing that I've been kind of doing to you earlier was I'm trying to get you to press, right? So I walk up, I press my button here, it spaces you out.
This is a spacing trap.
Not it's kind of, but not really, because it's not really automatic, right? So had I not moved fully, like if I just plant after this, right? So after this happens, and I plant, right? It actually does. It actually does do it, I guess. So I guess it is kind of a spacing trap in that sense. But what I want to say there is that typically for a space trap, it's usually a specific button that you're pressing and a specific button sequence after. So you don't even really need to like space it at all. So the hard part there though is that a lot of times it's taking advantage of somebody pressing right away. But I'm trying. You don't press right away here, right? So if you look at this, there's a little bit of a gap, right? If I look at this. Right, so here, right, we're both neutral, and you take a little bit of time to press, right? So typically on a space trap, I would just press right away. I don't normally do that though, because it's a bit of a read here. But what I am trying to get you to do is press, right? So is it a space trap? I guess you could kind of say that because your button would whiff had you taken your turn back here. But typically a space trap involves spacing you out so that the button that would punish me won't reach, right? So a very classic example of this is Ken stand heavy kick, right? So Ken stand heavy kick is actually -5, right? So that's technically punishable. But if I space it correctly, none of your 5-frame buttons will reach, right? So even if you try to press a 5-frame button there, my follow-up button will tag you because you'll whiff, right? So typically when I think of space traps, and maybe this is not the right definition, whatever, but when I think of space traps, it's usually a trap where, or a situation where your opponent is actually at a punishable frame disadvantage, like -4, -5, but none of your buttons will reach. So if you try to press something there, it'll whiff, right? And that can happen for like even your 6 or 7 frames. Like in this situation here, we just saw it that your 8-frame crouching medium kick will also whiff, right? So I spaced my stand light kick enough so that the pushback forces it where it'll whiff, right? But typically I think of a space trap as a situation where your the opponent is punishable enough. So if you want to think about it as a space trap, I think that's perfectly fine. The idea is that you're gonna whiff if you try to press and take a turn back here aggressively anyway, right? So again, like it's a bit of a nuanced thing in terms of like definitions there, but I think you're kind of right in that your follow-up button will whiff, and that's what gets punished, right? So, but that's what I do here, right? Is that I try to induce you to press, and I'm already kind of out of this range, right? And you can see, so 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, this is a 14 frame reaction from me, right? What this means is that I'm not actually reacting, right? I'm not reacting to this happening. 14 frames is too fast for me to react to. Like at me as a human being, I can't react that fast. So what's actually happening here is I'm pressing a button outside of the range of your crouching medium kick. That's what's actually happening.
Yeah, right? That's why I thought it was like a frame trap setup, because I don't think people would normally react to that.
Yeah, I guess you're kind of right in that it was a trap in that sense, but it's not like I'm trying to induce you to press by being super minus, right? So I guess it works out that way. I would say that this is probably more a little bit of a spacing thing, because typically space traps like that require someone to press right away. So like if I did something like this, so I guess you could call it that. Let's call it that. Why not? It's a bit of a trap there, but the thing to take away from that is that you have to be careful about the space when you take your turn back. If it's too far for your button, that could happen. Like this can happen to you, right? And again, yeah, and you're right. I'm not reacting to this. I'm just pressing my button because it's at a space where your button will whiff, right? So if you had pressed nothing here, right, you block, right? Or even better, right? If you try to move forward in that scenario and just continue blocking, or you could even do this, right? Right, walk up and do something. I mean, that's a little bit advanced, I think, but the situation I was trying to highlight here is that if you were to just continue blocking, right, you would block my next button. You can even back up, right, and get your own whiff punish. But this, right, see, and this is why I don't want to call it a space trap, because if you were to take your turn back aggressively here, you'd recover in time to block. So there's a little bit of a gap, right? If it was a true space trap, I would have gotten you by like my next move, basically. So you take your turn back aggressively, and I just press my next button and hits you.
Alright, so I need to be careful of spacing.
100%. Like all of Street Fighter 6 neutral is that. Be careful of your spacing.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you look at the situation though, if you continue block, like if you recognize that after this button, the crouching medium kick won't land, then my next button, my next follow-up won't work, right? So, right. Or if you continue backing up, right? Oops. Right, something like that, right? So you could have whiff punished that had you waited a little bit, right? But that's very difficult though. Like you have to make a read on my movement, get a sense of when I like to press, right? All that stuff, because it's still a read on your part that what I'm going to do next, right? Even though I'm technically minus here, I mean, you could take a turn back aggressively like you tried to do and get whiff punished for it. You can try to walk up, you can try to back up, do something else, but you just have to be careful about the space. So if it's going to whiff, typically you don't want to press, right? Generally speaking. So instead, you get hit by the whiff punish here. Good block. So here is something. It's a little bit tough, right? If you look at the scenario here, like I can't throw you from here, right? Like I can't. My throw won't reach.
It's hard to judge, like in game.
Yeah, it can be, right? Because you don't know if I'm gonna move or whatever, right? But if you were to, something you'll have to probably get used to is what ranges throws actually hit you at, right? And the reason that's important is because if the throw is not a threat, right? If the throw is not an option for your opponent, then you don't have to delay tech, right? There's no reason for you to tech in that scenario because there's no throw coming because they can't hit you from there. Right now, if I had walked up, right, like if I did something like this, right, if I had walked up like this, right, then that tech works, right? But from the situation you were in right there, I wouldn't have teched at that timing. Basically, I would have waited a little bit more because again, I'm too far, right? I'm too far from the
Yeah.
tree, so it's just something you'll have to get used to, I think. And I think you're gonna get hit a lot while you do that, and you may take extra throws or whatever. But um, think of it this way: if we go back to this scenario here, right, let's say you eat a throw, right? From here, I don't throw, but you take 1,200 damage, right, for a throw. So if I walk up and throw you, you just block, right, and you don't do anything. You take a throw. You take 1,200 damage, right? In Ken's specific scenario, he gets pushed back. He has a 1 frame link to try to get a throw loop, right? He could dash him something else, but the throw loop is a little bit tough for Ken here. So he gets a throw, 1,200 damage, right? Instead, what happens is this. Right? You take this much damage. And if I completed the combo, that should be closer to 3,000 damage, right? So you take, more than double the damage. Even if this dropped combo, you take more than double the damage off the same situation by teching. Versus if you didn't tech, right, nothing would happen, right? You would take in the throw. From a risk reward standpoint, you take the throw, take 200 damage versus 2,500 in this case, or 3,000 if I complete this combo. Right. And what's the reward, right? The reward, if you tech correctly, is you get a tech, right? You get some meter back, which is actually a pretty good reward now. Slide back, farm, and all that, and reset back to neutral, right? That's the reward. But the risk is you take this much damage, right? Versus just blocking and doing nothing or waiting, right? Potentially you take 1,200 damage or nothing, right? Because I can't open you up because you don't do anything. I just back up and we reset back to neutral, right? And the situation's over. So every time you delay tech, right? Every time you take that defensive option, that's what you need to be weighing in your mind, right? And it's really hard. Like I say that, and it's really hard to do it, but you have to be weighing like the actual risk versus reward when you decide to tech, right? So does delay teching make sense here or not? And that's why you see a lot of these high level players get throw looped, right? Because that's the calculus they're doing in their head, is that the actual opportunity cost of delay teching is too big a risk, where if you get shimmied you die, versus taking a throw at 1,200 damage, right? So that's why you see them get thrown around a lot, right? Now again, you do have to make a decision at some point, and I don't fault you for teching or doing something else there. But I just wanted to highlight that on defense, this is what you need to be thinking about: is how do I navigate a situation where I try to reduce my risk, right? That said, in Oki, sometimes you have to guess, and going for a throw is perfectly acceptable here, right? Or can be. But if you are going for delay tech a lot, your opponent will start shimmying, and then that's when you take a lot of damage for that, right? So, right. So again, I'm +1 here. So, sorry, I was +1 and I pressed my jab, but you can't press against that. And then I'm going for this kind of tick throw pressure here, right? And then you go for this. The same thing happens again where you try to tech here, and you end up getting blown up for it. So, again, if we look here. After this, there's no threat of a throw from this distance, right? Now, had I moved up, maybe, but I'm just planted here, right? So what I will say is that you should be able to react to me moving a little bit here, right? There's a pretty obvious movement here that you can kind of see, but the main thing is that you probably want to pay attention to the spacing here, right? I'm standing in a space where your throw is going to whiff, right? So if you decide to tech here, it's going to whiff, and that's what happens. So again, just be careful about that space. If the throw is not a threat, there's no need to tech. So try to keep that in mind. Right. But if you look here, really, what got you is this one whiff punish here, right?
Yeah, and it's just
Yep. One tech. Take some throws, and then tech again. So, what I did note is that you don't reversal a ton, which is okay, I think. I think that you probably do need to reversal a little bit more. I know we tell people, like, don't reversal, like, always block it out. But as you climb up in ranks, there are situations where you should reversal, and I think this is one of them. You probably could have reversaled at any point here, and it would have beaten everything except the 2 shimmies I did. So the 3 other interactions, it would have beaten me, right? So EXTP sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. Right? You gotta represent.
It's because in Platinum, like, I think I was like, I always reversaled, and it was just such a bad habit.
yeah, because everyone people block, right? Because they expect people reversaling. But as you climb up, you can see that, like, I stopped expecting you to reversal because you hadn't shown it, so I wasn't really respecting that option from you. But if your opponent is applying a lot of meaty strike, meaty throw type pressure, that's a good situation where you want a reversal, right? You want to try to get me to change what I'm doing on offense, right? So
All right.
cool. Let's see. What time are we at? 3. Okay. Let me bring up one of the replays of yours. Any questions while I'm bringing this up? Anything? Any thoughts? Anything like that? Thinking? I know it's kind of a lot. So.
No. Yeah, I think the message was just like pay more attention to space. Not don't always like like judge the risk to reward.
Mhm.
And then on my plus frames, actually like press type buttons.
Yeah. Enforce those plus frames, right? Yeah,
The
that's.
thing
Mhm.
with like pressing like type buttons, like the lights, it's just that it's kind of hard to confirm.
Oh, okay, so like
So that's why.
you
Yeah.
feel like you can't quite hit confirm or confirm like that it actually. Okay, we can talk about that.
Yeah. So like if they delay their jab by like 1 frame, then my medium button works anyway, and oftentimes like they're probably jabbing like a heavy, to be honest, like mashing a heavy, so it just works out.
Oh, okay. Are these replay reviews not showing up? Let's see. One sec here. Let me get this replay. Ooh, okay. Let's see. One sec.
Wait, do the
I think that's the
codes
wrong
not
code.
work?
That's the wrong code. My bad. One sec. There we go. All right, this will be good. DJ. Let me take a look at some other ones here. Let's see. Okay, Sagat. Let's see what the other one is. Viper. Okay, let's take the Sagat one. I think this will be. All right.
I was mashing a ton in this one. Like I don't know what I was doing.
Let's find out together then. All right. Oh, okay. So here, right? This is kind of unfortunate. So you land a hit, but it's a light kick, right? So stand light kick, and then you go immediately into the crouch light kick, which spaces you out a little bit too far for the third hit, right? So if you're going to use this route, and spaces you out this way with a stand light kick drive rush, you do want to end your string early here, right? So meaning go for DP sooner. Now I'm not sure if this is even going to reach if you go for DP here.
I always do light tatsu from this string.
Oh, from right here. That light tatsu will work. Yeah, right from right here, light tatsu, right? So that's fine. But you end up doing one too many jabs, right? So
Yeah.
when you talked about the hit confirm, right? Like how do I know it's gonna hit or not? Right here. Right. So this drive rush here, right when this happens, this gives you enough time to confirm that this was a hit, right? That from here. Right, so you should already know that this is a hit from there, right? That's just something you have to practice and get used to. But hit confirming from a drive rush normal like this is pretty fundamental to Street Fighter 6 because most drive rush buttons that people do aren't actually hit confirmable on their own. Like Ken's crouch medium kick, for example, that's not actually hit confirmable by itself, right? So what most people do is they'll do crouch medium kick buffered in the drive rush, and then they confirm if it hit or not during the drive rush, right? So that's how you're supposed to do it, or at least that's what most people do. So here, you should probably you should know that it was a hit and confirmed into the combo. So what's tough here though, again, is the space, right? From right here, it spaces you out kind of far. So you do have to like pay attention to that space in particular. Now, if you want to be sure, you can always end a combo early, right? So 2 hits here will almost always work, if I'm not mistaken, right? And just go for Tatsu like 2 hits, no matter how close you are, right? Go for something that will always work. Because if you go for the third jab here, which looks like you do, it'll whiff, right? So you know that's what you have to go for there if you're going to use this particular string, right? So that's what I try to tell people is that if you're going to go for combos like this or light strings like this, try to go for something that will always work on hits, right? So if no matter what spacing or range I did that at, those 2 lights into light tatsu will always work, then that's what I'm going to do, right? I'm not going to go for any sort of optimization or anything extra from there, right? I always take the guaranteed damage in Oki situation. So
Okay.
ooh, okay, so what happened here? How'd you get hit? Let's take a look.
I was mashing.
Mashing something? Let's see.
Yeah, this game I was mashing like crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, mash
I
light.
wasn't.
Yeah,
I don't know
wasn't
what I was doing.
defending here. Okay, so and we talked about this, right? Mashing can work and does work in certain scenarios, but if your opponent is keeping their enforcing their plus frames, keeping their Oki tight, this makes it tough, right? So and he drops it here too, right? Even he does so. All right, punish. Oh, okay. So what I will say is that maybe you didn't know what the actual data was there, right? Maybe this is not something people whiff on you or on block or whatever. So if you run into a situation like this, where it seems like your opponent is really minus, right? So it's a button that you think you can take advantage of. If you're really not sure, go for a 6-frame punish. In this case, it'd be use crouching medium punch starter, right? So crouching medium punch, DP, or donkey kick, or whatever the combo is off crouching medium punch punish counter. That's what I would go for if you're not sure, right? Because this case is actually -8, right? So you can get up to an 8-frame punish, but reuse 10 heavy punch is 10 frames, right? So it's too slow to punish that. So you pressed correctly and on time. It's just that that move was not fast enough to punish here, right?
Yeah.
So as you climb up and you face more and more varied opponents, you're going to run into situations like this where you're not quite sure if it's plus or minus, or how minus it is, right? It looks minus and you try to go for something and it ends up not working. A lot of the time it's because reuse 10 heavy punch is 10 frames, and that's kind of slow when it comes to punishing like non-whiff TPs or non-whiff supers, right? So like, whiffed buttons buttons on block like this that are unsafe, right? If you're not sure, go for a 6-frame punish. If you're really not sure, go for a jab punish, right? So you can do jab, 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 Tatsu, jab, jab, TP, whatever, or a 6-frame punish, right? So crouching medium punch starter if you're not sure. And then later on, after your match, you can go in the lab and take a look, or look on Super Combo or whatever, to see how minus that actually was, and then you can form your punishes from there. As you play more and more, you build more and more of like the your memory of like what things are actually punishable and what they're punishable by and all that stuff, and it'll get easier. But for now, if you're really not sure, go for a jab punish. If you're not sure but think you get more, go for a 6-frame. Then if you're really sure, go for the stand heavy punch, right? Like that's how I would try to do it at this point. Like take a guaranteed damage is what I'm trying to get at. Oh, that was sick. So, right. So you're -5 here, and you just press, and it works because he whiffs a jab, right? So from here, 5-frame, right? It looks like Sagat's jab does not reach, and you go for button, and it works, right? So this is more of a space trap in that scenario, right? Now, would it have worked with the longer range button? Maybe. Like maybe if you press Sagat's like stand light kick. I'm not sure what his 5-frame buttons are. Maybe light kick works here. Let's see. Right, so stand light kick would have beaten it. Right, so it's not quite a space trap, but the jab whiffed, right? So it worked out. Generally, a space trap will be safe to everything, right? So had you gotten that fireball a little bit further away, or if you were standing a little bit further away and he goes for that 5-frame, then it wouldn't, you would have gotten away with it, right? And gotten a space trap there. But because you get punish counter there, that means that the spacing allowed him to punish you with the correct button, right? So he could just something like this, right? That was it.
Yeah.
Right, whatever, right? So
Yeah.
just be careful there, right? What you did was totally fine, right? You actually went for a button on your own minus frames, and it worked. But it worked because your opponent whiffed the jab. So if they decided to block, like that's what happens, right? So if your opponent is pressing a lot of buttons, you can get them in situations where you can space trap them like this. I think that's totally acceptable. But you do have to get your opponent in that situation in the first place, right? So they're mashing jab against that fireball, and you see that, and that spacing works, then what you did is totally fine, right? Because it works in this case, right? But it only works in the scenario where your opponent presses, right? So if they could have punished you 100% had they pressed the right button, the 5-frame button, and if they did nothing, then they block this, right? So
Yeah.
okay, so meter management here, I didn't talk about it a ton. You burn out for this. It's unfortunate. It is what it is. I think you're behind on meter. You went for the combo here. It's totally fine. It's not totally fine, but I understand what happened here, right? You're going for the crouch medium kick driverish combo because that's what you want to do, and you went for it, right? What I will say is that something you may want to consider doing as you climb up is looking for meterless punishes, right? So if you did this into Fireball, for example, right?
Sorry, I think your mic cut out a little bit.
Oh, can you hear me? Hello? Tap,
Yeah,
tap.
I can hear you now.
Okay. What I was saying was that something to consider as you climb up is to look for meterless punishes, right? So I was trying to show that example here by doing this instead. So instead of going for the drive rush, you do something like this, right? Right? Something like that. You get a little bit of damage, right? A little bit of damage here, but you don't burn out. And you push them closer to the corner, right? So taking a meterless conversion there is not the end of the world, and I think it's fine, right? Going for that is probably better than burning out as you climb up. Now, for now, if you want to burn out for that, I think it's okay. You have to learn how to deal with burnout anyway at some point, so go for it. But what as you get better and climb up, you do want to consider these scenarios where, oh, drive rush here is going to burn me out. I don't want to do drive rush. What can I do instead?
Yeah.
And taking a safe cancel here is a good way to go, because you get a little meter back,
Yeah.
right? You do some damage, and you are able to push them back, right? So the important thing though is you don't burn out, right? So all right, so go for the full combo here. Oki, go for throw, your reversals, right? So unfortunate. You went for reversal here. You went for throw. That's what happens, right? You threw paper, he threw scissors, is what it is. But now we're in a situation here where you're burned out, right? So now all of Sagat's buttons are really threatening because you can press them from really far away. You can't really take a turn back anymore. If he decides to do some stuff like tiger knees or whatever, it's going to be tough, right? So, see, right there, right? Like, how do you defend this? You can't, because you're minus, right? So you just have to hold it. Okay, that's actually good. So I don't mind this at all, right here. This. You went for a button. Either you were mashing something or you recognize Scott got greedy here. Maybe it's probably just the mashing aspect, but I don't necessarily hate you trying to take your turn back in burnout, because otherwise you're just blocking the whole time, right? And anything you can do to get out of burnout faster is good, right? What I will say though is that trying to use a crouching medium kick here is a little bit risky, right? So you're -3 here, trying to go for crouching medium kick will only work if he goes for like a bigger button. In this case, he goes for an 11 frame button or bigger, and he tags you 11 frames here, and he tags you, right? And you guys trade. So I don't mind the turn taking aspect, right? Just try to use faster buttons, use jabs, use crouching medium punch, right? Crouching medium kick for Ryu here's a little bit slow, I think. And actually, it's actually a worse situation for you now because you're knocked down. So now Sagat can do whatever he wants here, right? Oh, it goes through the meaty stand heavy kick, huh? Good jump. That was good. That was good. Oh, unfortunate. Would you have known? Would I have known he'd go reversal 2 in a row? Probably not. But
like this is the platinum players. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, this guy just made diamond, right? He came back. But it is something you do have to be wary about, right? If they're showing reversal here, then maybe you back off potentially. But it is a player by player thing, right? So if you think they're going reversal happy, then more shimmies, more blocks makes sense.
Well, typically I'm happy just eating the reversal because it's like 2 bars reset to neutral. It's not the biggest deal, and they don't always go for it. So I think it's almost, well, personally I think it's better to just always do strike throw, and I rarely do shimmy.
Yeah, and I think that's typically like, yeah, you're right. When it comes to risk reward from the defensive side, my reversal goes off. I spend 2 bars. I deal maybe 1700 damage or whatever it is for my reversal, and then we set back to neutral, and that's the end of it, right? But if I'm wrong, I'm gonna die for it, right? I'm gonna take a full combo from my opponent if I whiff my EXTP, right? So eating it is totally fine. I think if you have the health to do that, it's totally fine, right? In this case here, it's a little bit harder, right? It's a little tough because if they reversal on you here, you die, right? In that case, but that said, the shimmy wins the game, right? So, well, Splash is in chat talking about it, but shimmy will put you in a position where you can probably be pretty close to winning in that scenario, right? So you full cash out here into level 1, probably deals enough damage here where you can put him in a guess your game situation or be pretty close to killing them, right? So or even potentially build level 2 and go for that route, right? I don't know Ryu's routes from there, but you know, you can deal a ton of damage from here. So what happens is you get out of the burnout. Right, so Sagat burns himself out for no reason. Now you're in position to try to take this game back, right? You have meter now, right? And unfortunately, you went for the jump read, and I don't actually fault this at all. I think this is totally acceptable to try to do here. So I don't know how often this guy's anti-aired you, but he just so happened you guys both jumped at the same time. Fortunate. Something I'll mention here though is that if you run into this situation, press the faster button, right?
I think he was just doing rising.
Yeah, I think you've already pressed here. One sec. Let's take this back. Right, so maybe the the jump medium punch, or sorry, jump medium kick, or jump light punch.
Yeah.
Or if you had pressed earlier, so I'm mashing here, right, it might have hit, right? So what I will say is that you chose to do the jump heavy kick instead, is what you actually picked, right? Or sorry, jump heavy. You actually did the heavy punch is a little late, unfortunately. But the reason this kills you is because it's punish counter, or counter hit rather. Oh, actually, does that do more? Oh no, he hit you with this. Okay, never mind. If you had done something else, this potentially trades or puts you in you get the hit here, right? So he went for a faster button and you pressed a little bit late in your jump mark.
Okay.
It's tough though because the air to air here, you're not always ready for it, right? So you know, just consider that next time. If you run into that, you're like, oh, let me default to pressing something faster. Like reuse jump light punch is pretty good, I think. So anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's take a look at this scenario right here. After the 2 jabs, could you have done something else? Let's see. Right, so here, Sagat is -1. Right, so you can see it's your action here. And then he goes for this huge 9-frame startup button. Right, huge button here. Crouching medium kick for Sagat here, right? So something that you want to take a look at and pay attention to is what your opponent does after you block a light string. Right, so if they go for light into big button like this, light into throw, light into three lights maybe, back off, whatever, right? A lot of the Street Fighter 6 neutral game and mix-up comes from blocking a couple of lights. So what your opponent does after this is going to inform what you can do next, right? So if you've been playing the Sagat and he always goes for this sequence here, the sequence is a huge gap, right? Like here's neutral, right? You have a 1-frame advantage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, right? That's huge, right? That's a big gap. So you could have just as easily walked up and did something, press your own button here, right? So after this, and this is more of a read thing, right? So if you have noticed your opponent always trying to steal the turn with this type of thing, you just do this instead, right? Right, something like that, or right, or whatever Ryu's poke is, right, like that. Something like that, right? So what I'm trying to get at is that if your opponent is stealing turns from you like that, meaning they are pressing this huge button behind minus frames, which is kind of what you do too, right? Sometimes is you press that, you can beat that by pressing a faster button, right? So, right, you can stuff it like that. Actually, that probably doesn't work. It's not a punch counter, but you can poke, right? Or you could even potentially try to back up, but Sagat's crouching medium kick goes so far, right? So that might not work, but you can do something like this. Right, something like this maybe.
Okay.
Right. So my point is that if you're noticing your opponent, and this is gonna come down to some character knowledge as well, but if you're noticing your opponent after 2 lights goes for like a medium or a heavy, you can try to steal. You can try to take your turn back there by pressing a lighter button, right? Normally, you'll be close enough for that to happen. There, you have to be continue blocking in order for that button that he just pressed to hit you, or back up. Like if you decide to back up, that's going to tag you as you're backing up as well, right? So yeah, it's just something you have to pay attention to more than anything else, right? What your opponent's neutral tendency is after light strings, right? So something to keep in mind. I won't harp on that too much. I know I'm trying to throw a lot at you here, so I just wanted to highlight that because this is going to happen to you a lot. Is that people will press a couple of buttons here, assume that you're not going to press, and then press their huge button out behind it, right? And ideally, you don't let them do that. So
Yeah.
All right, no anti-air, unfortunate, and it didn't get the tech either, unfortunate. Okay, plus frames. Okay, good block. Good. So what happened here? How'd you do that, right? So after you block this, your +1, you immediately press and you beat his button, right? So the thing I was talking about earlier where you take your turn back aggressively in your plus situations and people will try to get away with pressing large button in minus situations, this is exactly what you want to do to counter that, right? So you want to press a button that's faster, right? Now, crouching medium kick here works because your opponent went for a crouching medium kick on their side, which is along like we just saw earlier, is like an 8-frame button or 9-frame button or whatever, 10-frame, whatever it is. So it beats it. But you could also do something like a crouching light or crouching medium punch or whatever else here, right? But if your opponent is going for these big buttons after you block something, this works fine, right? So this is good. But you see, you're already doing this to some extent, right? Even though whether you recognize it or not, you're trying to take a turn back aggressively here. And if your opponent is continuing to try to steal it by pressing their own big button and their minus frames, this is how you beat it. What I want to get you towards is like recognizing that so that you can continue to take advantage of your opponent. Good combo. Okay. Oh, that was a whiff punish opportunity. Is a bit missed. It's okay. Oh, no DP. All right, now we're in a dangerous situation, right? You've taken a bunch of drive damage and you're close to burning out. So let's see what happens. He burns you out. Okay. Good. Oh, that's unfortunate. So that was a shimmy
I went
attempt.
for a
Like.
shimmy.
Yeah, and it was a little.
I never
too close.
practiced shimmy, so.
Yeah. So what actually happens here is that this shimmy that you just did here, this actually might have worked had your opponent delay tech correctly. Let's see. Let me check. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So you were a little too close when you started backing up, and Sagat's able to kind of grab you here, right? So if you had backed up a little bit sooner, from like right here, probably. Oop. Right, something like that would have worked. So that's something you'll have to practice a little bit in terms of the throw ranges, right? And we talked about that a little bit. Throw ranges, I think, are where you have to pay attention to that because you were kind of getting beat by the no shimmy shimmy where I stand there and you teched because you thought it was too close. I think the same. It goes both ways. So when you're trying to induce a throw tech from your opponent, you do have to be standing far enough away so that when they do end up teching, you're out of range of that, right? Because they have to make the decision to tech. Like they can't react to the throw, so you have to induce them to do it, right? Just make sure that you're far enough away when they actually tech, right? So anyway,
Alright, got it.
not a huge deal. Like that's just a spacing thing. You had the right idea, and that would have worked, right? You would kill them from there, probably. You deal some damage. You deal some damage from there, right? So
It'd probably just be level 3 and then guess for game.
yeah, you'd probably do even level 3 if it lands. Yeah, that would be reasonable to me. Get some meter back. Situation within the corner now. You could back off, get your meter back, and then play neutral again. You force them to guess the game, whatever, right? So, at any rate, I think you had the right idea. Just execution was a little bit off, but again, I'm not gonna harp too much about mechanical or execution stuff, right? So, this case was just a little bit of spacing. That's fine, right? Idea-wise, you had the right idea. Whoa, good jump. That was sick. But see, they did that again, right? The jab into low.
Yeah, I don't know when I can punish these things, so.
Yeah, it's tougher in Burnout. I'll tell you that, right? So in Burnout, that string is probably even more real than then it's more real, right? Because everything's going to be plus now. So it's tough to press when you're burnout. So special case you burn out here, you have to pick your spots to try to take a turn back, right? If you're really not sure, just continue blocking because you're more than likely going to be minus here, right? That's just how burnout works, right? So okay. Plus frames, a lot of plus frames for got here. Okay. And this is what I think he's been trying to get you to do all game, is he wants to get you to back up after he presses some buttons so he can get you like a sweep or something, right? So, ouch. Okay, so plus frames again, you take the hit, but he doesn't link it correctly. Sweep opportunity. Oh, okay. So that's something you have to recognize too, right? And that's just character and matchup, is this is Sagat's sweep.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought maybe it was the target combo, so I could DI it.
And then you would just DI through this. And it would have worked had it been the DI, had it been the target combo. This is character matchup, like knowledge thing, right? So you see the sweep here. Something that I try to look for, and this is something that maybe it's not 100% accurate, but you on some of the Shotos and like Sagat, when you block a sweep, they stop. Right? You see how like the move doesn't continue on. And that's because sweeps have a fixed amount of recovery, right? Like it always has that much, no matter, you can't drive rush to improve that frame data, right? So there's always that kind of thing there. But if you thought that was something you could DI and you DI'd it, I think that's reasonable. But it was a sweep, so it wasn't what you thought it was.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, now I'm just mashing.
And now you jump in and, okay. So I don't mind this reversal. Right? I actually don't mind you going for reversal here. But with that said, if you're going to reversal here, super. Right? Like, use it. If your OD move is going to burn you out here, and you've chosen to reversal, like you clearly are going to reversal here, right? Like that's already a foregone conclusion. Use your super, right? Like think about it this way: if you die with this, like that's it, right? You can't take this with you if you die, right? If you die right here, that's it, right? If you use it, at least you'll put them somewhere in this range, right? Because you're CA, so 5,000 health. You'll deal a ton of damage here, and then you put them in a guess for game situation, right? Like you'll have what, a bar and a half, maybe 2 bars back. You'll be at somewhere around 4 bars, and you'll have landed a super. You can drive rush in and force them to guess, right? Like at least you have a chance now. Even though you won't have super for round 3, it doesn't matter. Like if there's no round 3, it doesn't matter how much bar you have left, right? So something I tell people is that if you're going to reversal, and in a situation like this where you're basically going to die the next interaction and burning out will happen if you OD, just use super. No reason not to. And if you really want to hedge, like I'm like, oh, I want a reversal here, but I want to keep some meter. Level 1 or level 2, right? For Ryu, all of his supers are invulnerable, right? To strike, anyway, at least, right? So might as well go for one of. You could go for any one of those, right? Like level 1 here, level 2 here, level 3 here. You get some meter back. You know, depending on the super you use, you get varying amounts of meter back. You'll have some of this left if you don't use level 3, and you'll be in a better situation, right? At least you're putting yourself in position to win. Here, the reversal goes off and it works, right? But now you can die to a chip, right? So God just wakes up level 1 here and you just stand there, you might die to it, right? So, oh, super! Oh, well, that's unfortunate. Oh, and then the heavy.
Yeah, I
OD,
thought,
right?
yeah, I thought Hasho would combo from there actually. I don't know
Really?
why.
I'm pretty sure it needs to be OD for that with Denjin. I think. I'm not a Ryu main, but I'm pretty sure it needs to be that. But you had some opportunities here. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for you here, right? So this situation right here, right? This is game.
I think it whiffs. I think super whiffs here.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's too far away.
What a whiffed for level 3 here. So you could have gone for level 1, maybe level 2. I don't know. Well, you did out a meter here, so you had to super no matter what you did potentially to continue this. But you go for donkey, it's okay. If super whiffs here and you know that it's gonna whiff, don't mind that. But this is scary here, right? He throws another one of those and you block it, you're dead, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm jumping.
Yeah. And then you have him here, right? Right. Just OD,
I
like
know.
level 1 DP. Even DP I think would kill him here. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Panic.
Yeah, panic. It's okay. Like that's totally normal, right? Like as you get better at the game, those things will become more clear, right? Like how to get through it. What I want to emphasize here, though, if we look at the rounds and we look at how this, like, if I go through how the round went, round 2 rather. Okay, let's take a look. Right, so anti-airs be important, right? You want to probably add that to be more cognizant of that, right? They actually do a good job here of taking your turn back against what the Sagat is doing, right? So Sagat in this case is going for a lot of these fake strings, right? And you're able to take your turn back, right? And we had talked about that. That's what's going to happen a lot in these ranks is that people are going for these, and you can punish them pretty hard by making them enforce those plus runs, making them enforce what's happening, right? So, right. Yeah, so a lot of jumping here. It's okay. You're trying to dodge him. A good jump to get out of the DI situation. Yeah, you navigate this burnout pretty well. Getting hit a couple of times there, but you're able to get out of it, right? Alright, and then here's this, and then this. Right. Well, what happened here is you got hit by a lot of like straight hits, right? There wasn't a ton of combos that the Sagat did. You just kind of got hit like with straight hits.
Yeah,
Right?
that's why I said I was just mashing a lot this game.
Yeah. And then you had the win there, but you dropped it. So, again, I do think that like for you in particular, where you want to go from here is that, and again, this is kind of difficult to do overall because you're gonna be running into a lot of players that won't let you do this. But the idea here would be for you to do one of two things, right? So two things that I kind of want to emphasize for you is one is that make sure that your strings are tight, right? And we talked about that at length. If you land a drive rush button, if you land some plus frames or whatever, Oki scenario, whatever, make sure that you don't lose to mashing, basically, right? That'd be the first thing. Because again, people mash, right? People mash all the time. So you want to make sure they don't. Once they stop doing that, then you can do other stuff, right? Then the shimmies and the delay buttons and other offensive options become a thing for you once it happens. The second thing is to watch your spacing, right? So if I actually go through this match here, right? Again, just to show this. Right? You whiff that because he jumps, okay. But had he not jumped, right? If Sagat doesn't jump here, that may not reach him, right? If he backs up, that may also whiff, right? So you just got to be careful about whiffing buttons, right? Whiff again, but that's because Sagat jumps, right? So would this have landed if he didn't jump? Let's see. I don't think so, right? Like, if Sagat doesn't jump here, this might whiff, right? So just be careful about that. Right. It's good.
Yeah, I really hate playing against Sagat.
Yeah. His buttons outrange all yours, right? Everything seems plus all the time. Tiger knee sucks, right? Like, there's a lot of things to worry about here. But the way this Sagat was kind of beating you, though, was that he was pressing these buttons at spaces where they would hit or jumping over you, right? And you weren't anti-airing him. So he's able to kind of get these hits. But if you look, he doesn't really do any combos, right?
But the Sagat players don't need combos.
There's only one, and it ends in a charge heavy DP, right?
Yeah.
That's what was happening here, is that you were kind of getting hit at ranges where you were just getting hit, basically, like these random kind of straight hits getting to you, right? Some of it's because of the mashing, like you said, and some of it's because you were whiffing buttons, right? So in this case, the majority of it was because you were pressing like a plus button, or sorry, you were pressing when Sagat was plus, or a situation where you could frame trap you, right? So blocking more in those scenarios is fine. And then making sure that your button that you press after is going to reach him, right? So once you block out what happens when you try to take a turn back, check to see, like, before you press the button, make sure that it's going to reach him, basically, right? So that'd be it for the neutral game. I think on defense, again, you could represent reversal a little bit more. Maybe choose it. I think the rate you do it at is totally acceptable. You could do it a little bit more. You could hedge it by going with a super instead if you don't want to burn out, right? That's probably another thing to look at. But otherwise, like, for you right now, that's really what I would say, is that make sure that you enforce your own plus frames, and make sure that you don't whiff buttons. Right, those two things will help a ton. Right, and then anti-airs, of course, and mechanical things like execution stuff. Make sure that's okay. And then on the heels of whiffing buttons, make sure that throw is on the table before you tech. Right, so don't always default to delay tech. Blocking is good too.
Okay.
Cool. So that all said, what do you think so far? Any questions, comments, concerns, things you want to ask, anything like that?
Uh, Not really,
Okay.
I suppose.
Okay. It's a lot. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot to go over, and this VOD will be
Yeah.
up for you probably tomorrow or something like that, so you can review it later on to look at it. But yeah, that's what I would say for now. Is like for you right now to progress, it would be to do the things that I was talking about. So cool, man. I know I think you're East Coast, right? It might be a little late for you. So did you want to run it back? You
Yeah.
have time to do that, or do you want to call it there? It's up to you.
I think we can play a few more. I'm
Okay.
a bit tired, but
Okay.
not. I think
It's
fine.
totally up to you. I mean, if you want to, okay, let's run it. All right, I'll leave the mics hot because it's funny that way. But yeah, just try not to whiff buttons, and when you do your strings, just try to keep them tight if you can. It's tough to do, and I know it's tough to do on the fly, but see how you do.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Oh, uh-oh.
And I'm tired. I'm like dropping
Yeah.
everything.
Can't try not to autopilot too much, but yeah, gotta be careful about the teching. But yeah,
Yeah.
nice. Oh, nice. Nice.
Ah.
Yeah, that was it right there, right? Oh, so what happened there was I delayed, right? I waited a little bit to try to get you to move, and then you did.
Yeah, I thought I could walk back there.
Oh, that was nice. Nice. Nice jump. Yeah, I think it has to be OD there from the lights.
Yeah, I'll try that.
Uh-oh. Nice. Nice. Oh, that DP was sick. Nice. That's what you got to do. Oh, the whiff, unfortunate on the jump.
Yeah.
But I think that round though you did better, right? Like you're able to kind of when you kept me in the corner, you were standing at a better spacing, I think. So you're being more cognizant of it, which is a good first step. I mean, obviously you can't
Yeah.
fix it all in a day, but like these smaller things they add up.
Oh, I could have punished that.
Yeah, it's a sweep. Nice. Yep. Nice TP.
Oh, okay. I really need to start pressing jab.
Yeah, jab or stand light kick. Oh, that was good. Had me. Oh, I didn't have enough health for that. Nice. Nice.
Oh, I missed it.
Oh, I don't know if that was supposed to be a DP, but you end up getting kick. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And neutral jump in the corner there against like on offense is kind of good if you're not ready with the if you're not ready with the anti-air, it's gonna get you every time. So
Wait, do I get a trade combo on that?
you might. You have to look it up in the replay later.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I know the result wasn't, you know, kind of the same, but or it was the same rather, but like the little things in between, I think, are starting to show a little bit, right? You were a little more cognizant of the space. I know you're tired and all that stuff, and it is what it is, but I think you were a little more cognizant of like the space you were standing at during that, and I think like some of the habits you have in terms of what buttons you press after drive rush, you'll have to work a little bit on not doing that. You saw me go for a jab right after the drive rush stand heavy punch a lot, right? I just went for it, and it's still beating you there. So you do have to take, you know, if that forces a trade combo, take a look, right, and see if there's something you can do there. Because if it is something that can happen for you, then take a look at that. But otherwise, yeah, I think like if you don't whiff as often and enforce your plus streams, I think you're gonna do well, right? On defense, like there's some stuff you can work on there, but the main thing would be willing to reversal a little bit more, delay tech a little bit less, and tend to block a little bit more. Just like block everything out. So because you're at a rank now where people are gonna start doing shimmies and stuff like that, where people are looking how to open up delay tech, right? So you have to be careful. Cool, man. So that's it. I know it's late. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up or ask?
Uh, Not really.
Okay.
I thought you did a great job of explaining the little concepts.
Okay. I try my best.
So
I know it's a lot to take in. So,
yeah.
you know, if you get one or two great things out of this, great. If you get more than that, even better. But yeah, man. Otherwise, we'll call it there. So if you have any other questions, feel free to hit me up in Discord. But otherwise, have a good night.
Yeah. You too. Thank you very much.
Yeah, take care. Well, thanks, guys. It's been Sit Down and Shut Up. Appreciate you guys watching, as always. You know, I run this through the Fight Rise Discord. Fight Rise is a fighting community focused on Street Fighter 6. They run bi-weekly events through the One Fight Stand series. I think they're on a break right now for winter, but they run a bi-weekly Swiss tournament. So if that's something you're interested in, take a look at Discord. So let me put the Discords in. They also run community showcase events through their Urge to Fight series. So if you're looking, they are doing a Wreck the Halls that's actually Saturday for a charity event. So they raise a bunch of money for the Radiant Foundation. So raising money for a super rare disease. So helping research for that. So Saturday I'll be playing in it. One of the folks being showcased. So if that's interesting to you, take a look at twitch.tv/FightRiseFGC. It'll be on Saturday at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. Pacific. So whatever that is in other time zones that I don't live in, right? They also do Big League KO. I'll plug that now, even though it's not on season. But Big League KO is another thing they do. It is a league format, so it's a month-long round robin. We put in a pool with 7 other players, so for a pool of 8, and you play a round robin tournament essentially in your pool. It's all first to fives. You play 2 matches a week. Spread it over the course of a month, and then depending on how you do, there's a postseason. So if you do well, you get to go in the postseason, and then there's you play in the postseason bracket, and there's the finals are streamed and all that stuff, right? It's rank separated, so if you are interested in that, again, take a look at the FightRise Discord. And take a look for one. They just finished the season, so I don't think there's going to be one until next year, probably. So take a look, keep an eye out for that, though. The slots do tend to fill up pretty quick. If you are interested in coaching, so if you see the session like what I do and want to get a session like this for yourself, take a look at the FightRise Discord. Under I think it's just called Level Up. There's a category Level Up. Look for Sit Down and Shut Up as a channel. You can look at the pinned messages, and you can sign up for coaching with me through there. There's also a couple other folks that do coaching there as well. So Jason Luzprince and Sora. They're not as active, I think, recently, just because it's the holidays, whatever else. But you can reach out to them too. They do good stuff. So if that's something that interesting to you, again, join the Discord, take a look, and look at the pin messages. Well, it's part of the New Fight Club. New Fight Club is another fighting community focused on getting newer players into the game, specifically Street Fighter 6, but other fighting games as well. I think Street Fighter 6 is probably the most common one people play. They do lobby nights every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So Monday is their modern night. So if you play modern or interested in modern, you don't have to play modern, but if you're interested in it, take a look at that on Monday nights. Wednesday nights, like tonight, would be their main newbie night. So if you are new to the game and want to get games, the lobby night happens tonight. Flash Galatine, who's in the chat or was in the chat earlier, hosts those typically. So they are a great resource to talk to and be able to get games from. And then Fridays are typically kind of freestyle. They do tournaments every so often. I forget their schedule these days, but they usually just open lobby night on Fridays. I think once a month they also do a modern monthly. So if you're a modern warrior and wants to play against other modern warriors, there's a monthly that is modern only. So if that's something that's interesting to you, again, join the Discord, take a look at the announcements and events, and sign up once the things open up. So that all said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate you guys. I'm available on Discord and all that stuff, YouTube channel, all that good stuff. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good night.